Hi friends, so today's lesson is a little bit different to what we've done before. Up to now we've sort of practiced basic watercolor techniques, things that you can use to paint and improve your painting and create some texture. But today we are going to look at the drawing aspect. Now I know a lot of my students don't enjoy drawing. They think they can't sketch at all, and that sort of stops you from creating. So first of all, if you want to be a watercolor artist, you need to overcome this fear. And I know it's easier said than done, but there are lots of techniques and skills and things that you can learn that will help you to be better at drawing. Now, I always say I can't draw either, but that doesn't stop me from creating, and it doesn't stop me from actually learning how to draw. And landscapes are a fairly easy way to start with. Instead of going straight on to start sketching people, why not give landscapes and buildings a go first? Now, I am still practicing how to do people. I am really not good at it. So I'm first practicing just how to do little figurines and silhouettes, but it doesn't stop me from trying and from practicing. So if you want to be a good artist, if you want to improve and grow in this practice, I want to challenge you to try easy things. It doesn't have to be a big elaborate building that you start with. Just start with something small, a easy house, or just something that's really simple. And we're going to do some practices today that hopefully will give you the confidence to continue. So let's start. First of all, when you paint, it's a really good practice to look at photographs, and if you do want to copy any of those photographs and try and paint them, always remember that you cannot sell that because it's not your original work. Even though you painted it, a photographer took it and you are copying what they've done, so you cannot sell it. And if you are using a photo, always ask permission if you can paint that photo directly from the photographer, and give them the credit. So if you are, for example, you've used a photo for your painting, you've copied it exactly, just give that photographer credit if you're not selling it. But if you're posting it on something like Facebook or so on, just say, this is a photograph by so-and-so that I used. And that will sort of, help you to at least give them the credit for it as well. Now, what I like to do is, if I'm wanting to paint a certain subject, let's say lighthouses, I would go and look at lots of photographs of lighthouses. Look at the skies, look at the type of lighthouse, the colors that they have, and then sort of form a picture in my head. Knowing the background of perspective drawing and composition can help me then generate my own painting or my own sketch from those photographs. And that's the best way to go. Take bits of pieces from photos that you like and try to replicate those. Now, you can also use a photo or a sketch as your outline. And I know a lot of people, me included, give outlines for a lot of my paintings for free on my website. So let's say you have an outline. How do you then transfer that to your watercolor paper? So we're going to look at that today as well. We'll start with that, how to get an outline onto your watercolor paper. And then we're going to look at 1 and 2 point perspective, just the basics, and we're going to look at composition. I'm going to give you a couple of exercises throughout today that you can go and practice, and before you know it, you'll have a beautiful painting. So let's start. Now let's say you have a picture, a photo, or an outline that you would like to copy. Now this one that I have here are 2 photos that I took, so they are my photographs. I'm going to use tracing paper. So this is just the cheapest tracing paper I could find. I think, I don't even know where I bought it from. I think somewhere someone had a special and I just got it on special. So it's tracing paper. So one of the ways that you can get this image, this photograph onto your watercolor paper is to make use of tracing paper. You normally buy it in a pad like this. So this one has got 25 sheets and it's A5, and this is the Reeves one. So let's just do this bottom one for now. I'm not going to add all of the details at this stage. It's just for educational purposes. So I've just got a normal HB pencil, and I'm tracing it. So be mindful that the image that you trace will be back to front when you put it onto your watercolor paper. Don't have to do all these windows, but I'll just do them anyway. So this is how I started my watercolor journey, tracing images. And eventually you challenge yourself and you start by trying to replicate or draw that image. So let's do that. Okay. Oh. So just at the bottom. So now here I have watercolor paper, and this is just rough with paper. I don't know, it somehow got damaged. So what you need to do now is you need to turn this around to get it onto there. But if you want to have it the same way as the photo, you need to trace it again, and then you can turn it around. Or if you are from here, you just want to get it onto your paper, I like to use something like a pen, the back of a pen or a Sharpie, and all you've got to do is now go over those lines that you have drawn. And just really try to hold the tracing paper still so that you don't get any double lines. Now you can also use a pen for this to draw the image. You don't have to use a pencil. So there we have it, very light. I don't know if you can see that, but there it is. Let me try and show you here. So there it is, there's my image, and now I can just go and paint that. So it doesn't have to be a difficult step. You can use photos. Photos are great to use when practicing. You can give them to people for free, but always make sure just to give the photographer credit, and always make sure that you are not selling it because it's not your original work. Okay. So that's how we can trace. There are other ways, of course. You can always use your photo or an outline put your paper in the front and hold it up against a window. So if your window is really nice and bright, it's a bright sunny day, you might be able to see through the paper, and you might be able to trace it directly onto your watercolor paper as well. So there are many ways to do this. Find a way that works best for you. Some people use a light box. A light box you will use the same way you use a window. So it's just a box with light underneath it, and you can put your photo first, watercolor paper on top of it, and the light hopefully is strong enough so that you can see through and trace it onto the paper. Tracing paper is an inexpensive way to do this as well. Okay, next, so just looking at my notes here, I've got a couple of notes that we need to cover. So of course you can also use stencils. Now I don't know, I normally create my own stencils, but if you can find stencils somewhere that give you the outline of things, you can use them. A light box, tracing. Okay, so let's go to perspective drawing. And the very first thing we're going to look at is one perspective drawing. Now these notes is linked in the description below, so you can get my notes on perspective drawing and on composition, and you will see I did this on Canva Pro, so I used the photos from Canva Pro. Okay, so 1 point perspective literally means that we are looking at an image or a house or anything. We are looking at it going into 1 point. Don't think I'm explaining that very well, but when we start drawing you'll see. So if you have, for example, something like a train track, we have our 1 point perspective on the horizon line, and everything goes towards that 1 point. Okay, so let's try a drawing. Okay, now I'm going to use a thin Sharpie for this. Do I have colored ones here? Okay, so there's my horizon line. Here's my 1 point perspective where everything is going towards. Now, okay, so now we're just going to do lines, and I'll do these in pencil. So just have my lines going out, and you can do as many lines as you want. I'm drawing it, I'm pushing quite hard now because I want you to be able to see it, but when you draw it, make sure you make these lines really soft so that you can erase them afterwards. So now we can just fill in straight lines radiating from my 1 point. Okay, they don't have to be exact. You can always add more lines if you want to as well, as long as they're all coming from the exact same point. So sketching is just as important as painting. Okay. Right. So let's say we are drawing a little house. Okay, and I'm just going to draw my house like this. Little roof. Let's do a door and 2 windows. Okay, Okay. Will you be able to see the sides of the house at this point? No, because we're standing right in front of this subject, in front of this house. So the sides of the house is going to be where you can't see it, and so is the back. You won't be able to see it. Okay. But now let's say we have a house here on either side of this house that we've just drawn. So you're looking at your house and then you're looking at your neighbor's house. Now first I just want to all the houses will be the same height. So let's do a house over here. Okay, and we're doing the roof the same. Door, 2 windows. And then we'll have a house on this side. Now, if you stand in front of your house and you look at your neighbor's house, can you see the side of their house? Yes, you can. So the sides of their house will, how do we determine that? Do we just draw in the side here? No, we have to let everything go towards that midpoint. So I'm just going to connect a line to the midpoint and the corner of my house over there, and same on this one, same on the roof. Okay, now I'm using those lines to guide me into drawing the side of the house. So that means I'm going to go from this line to that line. Do you see it's not straight down all the way? Follow the line that you've just drawn, and this one will be going in. And then for my roof, follow that line and there. Okay, and then maybe there's a window on this side as well. Okay, so same on this side. Everything will be radiating towards that point over there. And window. Okay. So does that make sense? We are drawing everything into those lines. So if you want to do a path for your door over here, for example, let's do a little path coming out of your door. That's going to follow those lines. If you want to do shrubs, obviously they're going to be smaller here, and then as you go you follow these lines that you've drawn. Okay. If you're doing a tree, you can just do a tree over here. Okay. Now for these guys we can put paths for them as well, but is their path going to come out this way? No. So we follow the lines that we have. So there goes the one, there goes the other. So we'll be going this way. Okay, and those shrubs over there. Do some shrubs. Okay. So I hope it makes sense. It looks like a bit of chaos at the moment. Chaos. But that's how you use 1 point perspective. The other example that we had here was to do a train. So I'm going to do So let's do one more example. Okay. So there's my 1 point perspective, 1 point on the horizon line, and everything that I draw is going to go towards that 1 point. So again, I'm going to make my lines. Okay, let's draw a train track. So everything's going to go towards that point. So let's see. Here comes my first one, second one. Okay. So that's going to be the side of it, and then we will do the top. Okay, and then we are going to need planks. So let's do another one. And as you get closer to the back, your planks will be closer together. Till you can't really see the details no more. Okay. So we can fill in. Okay, then we can have some, so this is the top of each plank. This is the side of each plank that you will see. Okay, so top, oops, no, this is the top. That's the top. Okay. As you go further back, you'll have less detail. Now, if we are doing, for example, poles next to our railway, we can do another, I just want to add another line coming out here. Okay, so this is where my poles will start. And then I am going to go up to there. So first one, and because it's closer it will be bigger, and then I just follow this line and this line for my bottom. So go in more, less detail as we go further away, closer together as we go further away, and then we can connect them. If it's a telephone pole, okay, if you are doing trees, you'll basically do the same thing. As you go further back, they will become smaller and smaller and smaller. So we can just do one tree here on the side, take my tree up to there, and then maybe there at the back I might have a tree. So 1 point perspective, everything going in towards that 1 point. Now let's have a look at 2 point perspective. And again, these notes are in the description below. You can download them directly from there. So 2 point perspective, we have our horizon line, but we have 2 points on the horizon line that we will be working towards. Now, if you have a look at this example over here, you will see that if you're looking at a building straight on, the corner of a building, you will see both sides of that building. If you are looking at something higher up in the sky, like a skyscraper, for example, you might be seeing a balcony or something, and you'll see the bottom part of that as well. If you are looking down, as they say, bird's eye view, you're looking down at something. Let's say you are in a skyscraper and you're looking down and you want to paint that image a house, you'll obviously see the roof of that image. So that's what this image is sort of showing you. Now, for 2 point perspective drawing works well if you're doing buildings, of course, and it really helps you with buildings, but start easy. Just do little rectangles or squares and just work with those. Once you can do those ones well, do easy little houses and move on from that. Add as much detail to it as you would like. Okay, so over here I've got one that I've done 2 point perspective, as you can see over here. I hope it's not too shiny. Let me take it out. Okay, so we have our 2 points over here on the horizon line, and there's lines radiating out of each one, and same with this one over here. And this is what we use to guide us in drawing the shape of the church, in drawing the windows. As you can see, this front window is much larger than the back window, just to get the door and everything right, and of course to do our shape around it. So let's try something. Now this is a little bit next level because there's lots of little intricate things, but let's try just the easy farmhouse, for example. So horizon line. Again, I'm using a Sharpie just so that I can actually show you what I'm sketching. So from this one we are going to have lines, so you'll want to go in the middle of it and you're going to have lines radiating out. Of course, please use a ruler. I am just doing this to show you, but a ruler is obviously more accurate. And so we're going this way. And then on this one we will have the same. Okay. Lots of confusing lines happening there. So let's try just first sketching out a building. Okay, I'm going to look at it street level. So I'm going to go just a straight line down here. This is going to be my corner. Okay, now this is the side of my building, and I'm just following the lines that I have here. Straight line down. Let's do it this way. Straight from that. Okay. So there I have my building. Now let's say this is a farmhouse. So I might have a bit of a veranda going maybe. So that. So my roof, I want it to be, it's quite daunting drawing in pen, isn't it? So, and then it goes flat. My roof will go past here a little bit. That way. Something like that. Okay. So now once you have that basic shape, you can of course go and add to it. So let's do, for example, a tree. So over here I'm gonna draw a tree. Now if you are doing this as a watercolor, of course you'll be doing this in pencil or a line sketch, and then you can always add shadows falling maybe onto your house, so you can color in side of the house over here. Okay. And then from those basic shapes you can add whatever you really want. You can add flowers here. So this will be a shadow, obviously, because this is the inside of a veranda. So it depends how much light you are, which way your light's coming from, and all those other basics that we've covered up to now. Which will make a difference here, whether you are adding lots of detail or just a little bit of detail. Are you doing a sunrise maybe? Are you doing a mountain here in the back? Okay. Are you doing a pathway coming out here rather than coming to the front? Are you doing plants or whatever you'd like from here onwards? Are you doing maybe fields in the back or whatever you'd like? Clouds, sort of follow your lines over here a little bit. Okay, so once you have that basic shape, if you know these basic techniques for perspective drawing, you can use that to draw any building or landscape that you want, just thinking of the perspective. Okay, now my husband has actually made me this little plank with a rope on it, and this is something I use for perspective drawing as well. So sometimes your point might be off your paper, and then this will help you to guide your line. So you can put the string down and draw your lines from there. So if we have a look, if I put that where that point is, basically, you'll see you can just follow those lines, and you don't always even have to draw them in. You can just hold the little string and draw it as you need it. You can see there how I follow my lines, and that will help you and guide you. So, and then you can always put it on this side to get your second one as well. Okay, I just need to fix it up a little bit and put a new rope on it before tomorrow's class. Okay, so this is our first two exercises that we're doing today, is a 1-point perspective drawing and a 2-point perspective drawing. You can of course go home and paint these however you like, and if you want, post them on our Facebook group if you are a U3A student, of course. Otherwise, put them on Watercolour Wellness. I would love to see them there. Or if you're in Australia, Watercolour for Australian artists. It's also a Facebook page where you can go and post them. I'd love to see your work. Okay, let's move on and have a look at composition. Now, there are many examples of composition that I can show you here. And I think just getting the first rule of thirds right will be very beneficial for you. But I am going to show you all of these examples, and again, you can download this from the description below to have it as a reference. If you attend my classes, this is what you'll get in class, so you don't need to download it. But so we don't have to go through all of these, but for example, the first one, rule of thirds. Okay, so have a look at that example image that I've got for you there. So the rule of thirds is basically everywhere where those lines interact with each other or cross one another is where you will have something interesting. Why do we need composition? Composition helps our painting to look interesting, not to be flat, and just how to sketch it. Okay, you don't want always to just have your tree right in the middle, because then you might have it will look a little bit silly, because your eye, it depends where your eye is going, and composition helps you to guide the eye to what you want them to see. That's what the whole idea of composition is. So if you have a look at all of these examples that we've got here, for example, the very first one with the tree, you can see that where the right line interacts with the two horizontal lines, the vertical one interacts with the horizontal lines, is where we have the tree. Then in the middle we have the road, and we have some clouds in the sky. So you don't just want to have a blue flat sky all the time. It is all depending on your composition. For example, if you have a look at the L shape one with just a tree, but we have an interesting sky. So the L shape one shows us that, you know, you have the tree on the left, you have some fields or something at the bottom, but the rest of that image that's left open is also interesting to look at. But where is your eye going? When you look at this image, where is your eye going? What are you focusing on first? Your eye is focused on the tree. If we look at the pyramid, So as I said, if you just want to put a tree in the middle, what are you putting next to it to keep it interesting? So with this, obviously this is like a volcano, and we have lots of interesting things here to look at. There's some clouds in the sky to have a look at, but our focus is obviously going to be on that point. That's where your eye is going. So have a look at all of these examples, download this image, have a look at how we are creating these shapes. I've put all of the names there for you. For example, the golden section showing you where your eye is going to be drawn. It's going to be drawn to that sunset or sunrise, but there is things happening around it. But immediately you will be looking at that, the golden section over there. Interesting sky happening, and then your eye will come down towards the other things or up. V shape is often used for buildings. Unbalance and balance. So have a look at how you can use this to your advantage. For now, you can even try to replicate some of these ones and try and practice and see how it is actually being interesting. So here's one with just a tree in the middle, but we have the shadow coming here, we have the light reflected there, and it's a nice big tree. It's not just a little tiny tree in the middle. So it depends what you put around it as well to make the eye be drawn in. So your homework for this one, I think, is to actually pick one or two of these composition photos and try replicating some of them, sketching it out and painting it as well, because after all this is a watercolor class. So try and replicate some of the colors, focus on what colors they've used, or challenge yourself and just use one color within various values, because that really teaches you shadows and where to be darker and where to be lighter. So I hope this made sense, but I think once you download this and you actually have a look at it and focus every time, just see where your eye is going, what is the focus and how are they creating that focus in the photo, and then how can you do that into a painting. So whenever you are drawing something yourself, think of your perspective drawing, but also think of how you're going to draw the eye into that image. Okay, so when we are doing a house, for example, my house will be the interesting thing to look at. So that's the thing I'm going to focus on. But all of these other things also need to be interesting enough to make the eye go into that image in the middle. Okay. And same with these ones, you can see both of these are just the rule of thirds or even the L shape. This one is the rule of thirds because we have an interesting sky as well. This one I'd say is more the L shape because of it's just what we have here. You want the eye to go to the lighthouse. Okay, so I think that covers everything for today's lesson. So let me know if you have any further questions about this. I've tried to make it to sort of break it down the way I use it and I see it. So as someone who is a self-taught artist, this is the way I sort of, teach myself these things as well, or taught myself these things. So yes, I hope that you've enjoyed it, and please subscribe to my channel for more awesome tutorials and workshops and things, and happy painting.